Hey, what's going on guys, I'm Bastion here. As with every other Bastion deck on this channel, I have to do multiple takes because we just had an error with my camera, so I had to go fix it. Alright, today we are doing the Meta Bastion deck profile. As you probably know by now, there are multiple variants of Bastion. There is the Persona Right Bastion, which is more focused on the Dbt02 support, which I actually did do a video on, so please check the link in the description below if that interests you. It's that deck profile. There's also stuff like Control Bastion, which I may end up doing. I'm not sure. Let's see whether I actually do it or not. There's also other stuff like, the Meta Bastion, which is this one that we're doing today. Meta Bastion is called Meta Bastion because it's exactly what the name says it is. It is the meta variant that's the most popular in Japan after Dbt02. Well, it's not really popular in just Japan. Kind of everyone plays it. So, yeah. This is the most common list of Bastion you will see. And how it basically works is it takes the Dbt01 support and plays just one card from the O2 set. Line up O Chosen Knights, or form up O Chosen Knights, or assemble Chosen Knights. However you wish to translate this card, it's basically what this thing is. I will break it all down in just a bit. Actually, we'll break everything all down in just a bit. Let's get right into the right line. Starter is your generic starter, pretty good. This is a good starter. It's a very nice art. Strongly recommend it. We have Fort. Fort has two skills. I've talked about Fort a lot and why I personally am not a fan, but let's just break it down since he is the only thing Bastion has right now. When rolled upon by Rogues, you can reveal two Great Trees from your hand, and then after that you get to superior call the top card of your deck, and if it's an order card, it's moved to the drop zone. So basically, if you get an order, you straight up lose the card. It's a self-minus-ish thing. It's not really that great in my opinion. I mean, you really do want that advantage, but I mean, I can see why some people just don't care for it, because if you plus it in the right way, it works well. If you lose it, it's just bad luck for some people, so it's relatively understandable. But for me, I'm just not a fan. But then again, this is all Bastion has, so we have to stick with it. Second skill is Counterblast 1. Choose one of your Great 3 or greater Vanguards. It gains 5,000 power. Considering that this card is complete trash, unless you're playing the budget version, you really won't be playing this card in your main decks. So yeah. Here's someone better. It's Rogues. Rogue's skill is, when rolled upon by Bastion, you reveal 3 Great Trees from your hand to your opponent, and if you do, you draw 1 card. Now, what's obviously better about Rogues than Fort is the fact that you get to draw. So no matter what it is you reveal, it's a hard plus, and it's just free. So it helps. The second skill of Rogues is that if you have 3 or more Great 3 units, this unit gains 5,000 power and the boost ability. Why does this matter? It matters for a very simple reason, and that's the fact that you have a lot of Great 3s on your board. This is a Great 3 based deck, and so you may play this card because it's a good 15k booster. You know, it's a magic number booster. It has shield. There's really nothing to complain about this guy. He's just free and good. There's only an issue, and that's that he's grade 2 and not grade 3. So it's something you want to be more mindful of because of the fact that, you know, if you drive check this guy or you want to call him by Alden's effect, you're going to be missing a lot. So be careful when you're playing this guy, but there's generally no harm in playing him, so yeah. The big boy Bastion. Bastion has 2 skills. During your turn, your Great 3s gain 2,000 power each, basically turning all your Great 3s into magical numbers. Very good. Second skill is the main strength, and yeah, it's the main strength of this deck. When you drive check your Great 3, at the end of the battle, you discard 1 card from your hand, choose one of your rear guards, stand it, and it gets 10,000 power. It's always going to be a 4 attack deck. It's not that bad whatsoever. I mean, yeah, you just discard the card you drove check, but then the only problem is that you play a large number of Great 3s, they don't have a lot of shield, you're susceptible to early rush. It's an argument for another day, but Bastion is good as it is because 1, people know how to play a relatively simplistic deck, 2, people don't know how to counter a relatively simplistic deck. So yeah, but generally speaking, this is the main pinnacle of Bastion, and it's a good skill at that, so yeah. Now, the thing is, you probably guess, as I've been saying, Bastion is a Great 3 centric deck. So this is the part that will take the longest. I will try and summarize as much as I can, as short as I can. But in the case that you feel that my explanation is not good enough, I recommend you to check the video in the description below, which was my previous Bastion deck profile. you know, it's going to be better, or at least it would have been a longer explanation. So yeah, we play 4 Bastion on the right deck. As I just mentioned, we play the meta order format or chosen knights. We play everyone's favorite 4 copies of Knight of War damage for Sard. We play 4 copies of Dark Strain Dragon, or at least I do. You can choose not to for this one. But here's someone you must play. It's 4 copies of Grand Heavenly Sword Alden. We also play 4 copies of Knight of Broadaxe Reflute. We play 4 copies of Kobakyo. That pretty much is for this list. Now, just a very fast disclaimer. I know some people don't like to play 4 Dark Strain and they play 4 format or chosen knights. It's perfectly fine, but what you see in this video is generally the list. It's always going to be the basic, the basic DBT01 Bastion list plus that order. So you generally, that is the main list that works. If you see anyone playing DBT02 support, more likely or not, he's either playing his own variant, or he's playing the Persona Right variant, or he's playing a control variant that you are just not familiar with. It's possible because Bastion has plenty of options right now. Let's break it down. Bastion, we've already covered Bastion, so I will not talk about him for now. Let's move on first to Dark Strain, since Dark Strain's right here. Dark Strain skill is Soul Blast 2. If you have 3 or more grade 3 units, they all get boosts, so you can flood the board with grade 3s and they're not just dead in the back row, they can now contribute and boost. Not bad, not bad at all. We also have from the start deck, this guy from start deck, Knight of Broadaxe Reflute. Reflute skill is move this unit to the soul, choose one of your grade 3 units, it gains 10,000 power. It's good magic numbers, helps for multi-attack, and you get a soul. No complaints on this card and its budget, so it helps players. It's one of the better cards from the Bastion start deck, so I definitely guarantee that you would want this guy. Yeah, I have no complaints, I like Reflute. We move on to Kobakyo. Kobakyo is the shield girl of Bastion. Her skill is continuous. This unit gains 5,000 shield for every 2 grade 3s present on your side of the field, including the Guardian Circle, if your Vanguard is Apex Ruler Bastion. Which means that by the tech count itself, herself and Bastion being on the board will be automatically a 5k shield. Any more grade 3s will just contribute to the shield count going up. And since it's a continuous skill, if you call 2 Kobakyos, the effect does stack. So if you do have an overlapping number of grade 3s, you will get better shield. This is one of the few cards that Bastion has to make up for its very low shield count. So I definitely do recommend Bastion players to play this or other shield cards such as this one, the best art in the game. It's not bad. Its skill is, if you have 3 more grade 3 units, this unit has 20k shield. Not bad, not bad. But it's an order, so it doesn't help you offensively, but Kobakyo still comes attached with a body, which is why she does gain preference in this deck. So, yeah. Now we move on to some of the more heavy hitters for this deck. Let's start off with the big king himself, Grand Heavenly Sword, Alden. Alden is the be-all and end-all of Bastion. If you don't play Alden, you're not playing Bastion. It's as simple as that. You definitely should be playing as many copies of Alden as you legally can afford. So, yeah, if you can't afford it, I mean, then you're just playing a budget Bastion, but Alden really just pushes his deck up another tier. So let's show why. When placed on the rearguard circle, counter blast 2, soul blast 1, choose a card from your hand and call it to the rearguard. If it's a grade 3, you draw 2 cards. So it's an automatically refilling skill that you call 2 grade 3s, you get 2 new cards. It really helps for the board swarming. There's really nothing bad with this skill other than the fact that it's a very heavy startup cost, which as you see, the rest of the deck does help with a bit because this is the most skill intensive, cost intensive skill there is. A lot of people compare it with this, the Holy Hour of Judgment cometh. It is from the start deck. Its skill is Counter Blast 2. Choose one of your units, it gets 5,000 power and you draw 2. The problem is that Alden is a body, this thing is not. So generally Alden is always going to be a recycle 2 with a body. This card is just draw 2, but it doesn't come with a body. And Alden has a very magical body because of his second skill, which is that whenever this unit attacks, this unit gains 5,000 power until the end of the turn, which stacks when you multi-attack with Bastion. So if you stand this unit again, it keeps the 5,000 power from its first attack, and it gains another 5,000 power from its second attack. and with Bastion skill of the third attack. So that's basically why Alden's very good. It's good magical numbers, it's good as a refiller. There's just really no downside to Alden. It's really a very good hard carrier of the deck. Then we have Fossat. Fossat is a debatable card, but it's really good still for Cattle Sanctuary right now. It has two very simplistic skills. This unit can be targeted by card effects, so it's immune to prison, immune to any effects. Really good. Second skill is, when its attack hits, counter charge 1, so charge 1. It's as straightforward as that. It's on hit pressure for resource management. If Fossat doesn't hit, you just don't get the resources back. It does nothing offensively, but beyond that, it's still a good card, so yeah. It really shuts down some decks like Prison, so yeah. Lastly, we have our new card from the set, which is Form Up Chosen Knights. Count +1, soul +1. It gains effects equal to the number of grade 3s available. If you have 2 or more, you choose one of your units, it gets 5,000 power. 3 or more, draw a card. 4 or more, your Vanguard gets an extra drive. Extra drive is very good because it prevents Bastion from really whiffing on the restand skill, which really helps. By drawing a card, it refunds itself, and by gaining 5,000 power, it still contributes to offensive efforts on the board. So generally, it's quite good. The only downside is you actually need to have a board for it to work. If you don't have a board, it just doesn't help. But if you do have a board, it's really good for beatdown. Moving on to our grade 2s, we have Rooks. No, this is not Rooks. Yeah, this is Rooks, so yeah. Our grade 1s, we have Fort on the right deck and 4 PG. It's very straightforward as that. This is the stronger PG because there are some times that you do dip in hand size and you do want to, survive, so yeah, good choice. Last but not least, our grade 0s, we play one of the starter. We play 3 draw, 1 OT, 4 heals, and then we play a total of 8 crits. The starter's the starter, very straightforward. The OT is the best OT here because there are grade 3s on the front row. If you give them drive checks, they can basically twin drive. Good. 4 heals because this is Vanguard. 8 crits because we want to close the game as fast as possible. And I've chosen draws, but some people choose the shield fronts, which is perfectly fine. But for me, since we do need a board in order for stuff like Form Up or Chosen Knights to actually be effective, so I rather the draw power so you do get your pieces. But if you want to play the shield fronts, it's perfectly fine. And that basically wraps up Bastion the meta deck profile. Really, it's very straightforward, as you can see. Not much complexity. It's a very straightforward turn 3 beatdown deck, but if you just don't get the stuff to work or your opponent can survive it, you can be struck back and you would just die. But for the intensity it puts up on turn 3, as well as it's relatively all-rounded deck, I can see why people really like this thing. It's good for what it is. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.